So we are in Goldfield, Nevada, and it is absolutely great. We've met a few locals here, and we're actually going to get to tour the old Goldfield Hotel as well as the high school. Both of them are supposed to be pretty haunted, and the locals are super sweet. This lady, she told me, oh, the buildings are freezing, you're gonna need a second jacket. So she went ahead and gave me a second jacket to wear, but I'm super excited. We're gonna go tour those. Hopefully it's not too scary.
So you can see in the back corner there where a safe used to be. Back in the day, this was a lawless town, so you didn't walk down the street with your money. Anyone who stayed in the hotel kept any of their valuables, their money, any special jewelry or anything. They kept it here in the safe for safekeeping. So the previous owner of the hotel, her name was Shirley, she had some really bad feelings about this hallway. It really creeped her out to the point where even the bathroom that she had made for her while she lived in the hotel while they were redoing it would scare her. She felt like people were watching her. So this is considered the most haunted room in the hotel. It is room 109, which was owned by George Wingfield. Mr. Wingfield was known for sleeping with many women, and one of the women, he actually got pregnant, and he paid her to stay away for quite some time. And she later came to him and said, I no longer want to stay away. I would like you to, help me raise this child. And he did not like that. So he actually kept her chained up in here until she had the baby. And once she had the baby, it was gotten rid of. There's some theories as to what happened with that, and she also disappeared. This is the foyer, and over here, this is the sunroom where you could just sit, lounge around, and take in all the sun. So this room here is where all the servants worked from. Only servants that were in appropriate attire to be mingling with the guests were allowed to come out. All others stayed back here and cooked and cleaned whatever else they needed to do back here. So the elevator here obviously isn't new. It was actually built in the 1980s by the previous owner, and it was never used. So this is the men's room where they smoked, drink, gamble, all that stuff that they did not do in front of the women. Now the women, I'm sure, had a little bit of an idea what went on in here. However, they did not know that there was a staircase here that goes down into the basement that had some secret rooms. This is the grand dining room, and at one point this was the finest room in the entire hotel. It had gold leaf ceilings, multiple chandeliers, lots of tables in it, and each table was dressed in fine linens, silver, and crystals. The piano there was imported from Germany in 1908. So this room was where all of the businessmen had their meetings. They had their meals served to them in here while they were conducting business. So this is the receiving room. There was actually an opening in that wall straight ahead there where they would actually receive supplies. So there was a dumbwaiter and an opening up up at the street where they would just, load everything onto that dumbwaiter, and then they'd store everything in this room. So the Goldfield Hotel was built on top of an old gold mine. The gold mine itself wasn't very productive, however, the shaft stayed inside the building, this room here actually, for quite some time. It's since been closed off. It's also said that once the baby of George Wingfield was born, that he threw it down this mine shaft. So this wall here is actually a new wall. It actually used to be a tunnel that went down to the red light district. So the men would come down into this room through the tunnel, and the women would never know. This room also connected to the red light district. There was a shower room in here. There was also a steam room. So after the men were done, they'd make their way back up the tunnel and take a shower, relax in the steam room, and then go back upstairs to their families. This room is the private massage and shower room. There were always the rich and the very rich that stayed in the Goldfield Hotel, and obviously the very rich got the private shower and massage rooms. This is the staircase that we were talking about earlier that leads down from the men's quarters. This is the cigar room. It's where the whiskey and cigars were sold out of to the men. This is the original old Goldfield Hotel sign. I thought that was super awesome that they still had that here. This is the only original door left in the building. It's this really cool split door design. Then those holes in the floor right there, those are actually where they set the barrels that were full of the cigars and whatnot to keep them in place. Our tour guide also does paranormal tours here, and she said that this room in particular has a lot of activity at night, and I thought that was pretty interesting. This is the original elevator of the Goldfield Hotel, and unfortunately it's stuck up on the 4th floor, which we won't get to go to because of the structural stability of it is a little concerning. But back in the day, people actually didn't really use the stairs in this hotel because of the elevator. Having an electric elevator was just so cool to have, and everyone wanted to use it. So this room is also pretty creepy. The previous owner and her daughter heard a lot of banging around down here one night, so they investigated. When they did, they found human bones. They had a psychic reading done on them, and they were told that they were the bones of Elizabeth, the prostitute that Mr. Wingfield actually got pregnant. So if you've ever seen the show Ghost Adventures, they did an episode here in the Goldfield Hotel, and this is the room where the brick went flying and the boards were levitating. So this is a pretty haunted room. Now obviously it's been cleaned up since then. There's no more bricks laying around. There used to be a lot of rags and boards laying around too, but it's all been cleaned up now. But supposedly this room is still extremely haunted. So this is the only carpet remaining in the Goldfield Hotel. It used to go all the way up the stairs and down all 4 corridors of the hotel itself. And that is the original elevator. Like I said earlier, the elevator car itself is all the way up on the 4th floor. So this is one of the suites in the hotel. It had big sliding doors that opened into this beautiful room. It actually had multiple rooms in here, so it was considered to be very expensive to stay in this room. There's also a door that goes out onto the balcony, which would have been amazing to have in that time as well. Virginia Ridgway was the previous tour guide of this hotel. She's currently in a nursing home, and she said that when she dies, this is going to be the room that she haunts. You'll know that she's here by the smell of her perfume, is what she also told people. Oftentimes, Shirley would hear children and adult footsteps going up and down the hallways here. So when they were working on the buildings initially back in the 80s, they could not find the fire escapes that had originally been on these buildings. So their solution to the problem was to build an elevator shaft going down and then connect it to a catwalk going across the way into the other building.